What's up YouTube? Wiro here with that first ever booth tutorial. A few weeks later than expected, but I had to take care of some other projects that had to be finished before I could start with this stuff. Today, the first tutorial, I want to talk about color grading or editing your Instagram photos. And not specifically Instagram, but I am going to show you how to optimize it for Instagram, the size and everything like that. Now, I'm personally editing my photos in Lightroom. For those that don't know Lightroom yet, Adobe Lightroom, you're about to find out. For those that are into Lightroom already, I would say watch the video and you might learn some tips and tricks or easy shortcuts. It will be a handy video anyway. Now, before we get into work mode, I would like a fresh cup of coffee, so that's what we're getting right here. Alright, three other things before we start. First of all, it's a hot day today and I can hear my computer, the coolers of my computer blowing all the time. So I'm pretty sure that will mess up with the audio. Second thing, I got a monitor on my camera and I see myself looking at the monitor more often than at the lens itself, talking to the lens. Third thing is that I've just changed my language in Lightroom from Dutch to English for the sake of this tutorial, of course. So I might be looking and searching a bit for few buttons and effects, but anyway, we're gonna go with the flow and let's check this out. I want to say let's roll the intro, but I don't have an intro yet, or maybe I'll make a quick one. It's not the final intro, but let's roll something.
Every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, every saint and sinner in the history of our species.
Alright, so we are into Lightroom right now. Here you got some pictures that were already edited. They're in my quick collection. I'll explain what the quick collection is later on. We're gonna do like model shots today, okay? Fitness / model shots. Maybe in a different tutorial we'll do more like a landscape photography or whatever kind of photography. You guys can always let me know what kind of stuff you like to see down below. Alright, so a quick few before and afters of these pictures. We went from library to develop. Library is where you start. Develop is where we are gonna develop, edit the pictures. These pictures right here are all edited already, and I'm gonna show you a few different looks. So we got Mariah sitting here. Now this is the after and this is the before. This is a 4:5 crop meant for Instagram. These are the long pictures you see, okay? So when scrolling by, it's like they almost fill the whole screen of your phone. Now going from before to after, you can see there's kind of a sunny look coming to it. It's more than just lighting up the picture, as you can see. There's really a sunshine coming from this side, okay? So I placed like a fake lighting over here. A couple of fake lightings actually. If you look closer, you can see different lighting rays, if that's the correct word. Lighting rays. I took out some of the blue parts here and the green parts. There's a lot of things going on, but let me go quickly through a few examples. Something like this, for example. So this is the before. Now here it is edited. I remember I put some extra saturation up here, so the sun and the trees were lit up more. And as you can see, as you can tell from the difference, Mariah is looking more aesthetic here. It's popping out more from the background than the background does itself, if that makes sense. It's the same story up here. This was actually the same day. You can see how these two guys, this is Conor Murphy and this is Mariah, how they separate from the building. See the after, they really separate from the building itself. I liked it when the blue sky would have a fade in it, you know? It didn't have from the original way. I like it when I have a fade in it and the sunshine really coming from up above here. The before of this one, pretty dark, but I can still see all the details in the sky. That's something I look to a lot, the details in the sky, because I like the clouds and in this case the colored sky. So you can have like purple clouds and everything. It was a beautiful evening in LA right here. Now the before and after of this one is a pretty big difference. That's because I added like a fake sunlight over here to really embrace that sunset that evening. So you can see the palm tree lighting up here. and that's the same with the side of his body. I kept the purples, for example. I kept the blues in here, and here's more like an orange feel to it. Now this one was shot the same day, and when shooting this, I didn't think we were ever going to use this picture. I only edited it for myself and posted it on the gram a few weeks back, a few months back. It's not because I especially like the picture, but because of the fact that the difference is so big in before and after, and that you can clearly see what you can do with these raw pictures. So look at the backlighting, for example, which I of course faked a bit more. The lines on the body, like the silhouette feeling of it, where the face is all black up here and the arms are all black and everything. It's still really doable right here. This is Brandon in Amsterdam, and this one is here because of the spot on sort of effect. Really like, it's like a holy light coming from the sky. I shot this photo pretty dark too, on purpose, so I would have all the clouds, but on the camera I could already tell that the skin tones were still there. And you can tell the downlighting from up here. Imagine the sun or the holy light, whatever, being up here and shining down on Brandon. Here the light is really coming through the clouds, and here the clouds are pretty thick. These pictures have the same kind of look. That's because I want to be in the same kind of range, same kind of album. Now we are gonna edit one of these pictures today, one of this series we shot that day. Let's go back to library, go to import, then go to the folder where your pictures are. In my case, I'm going to RAWs here, and these are the renamed RAWs of the photos we shot that day. Alright, so I'm starting from 0 here. My workflow is as follows. I'm not saying this is the best or most effective workflow, but this is the workflow that has been working for me ever since I used Lightroom. I'm gonna start off with the first picture. I'm gonna double click that picture. In case I want to edit this picture specifically, I'm gonna press P. That will include it in import. Now when I had it on Dutch settings, so for all the Dutch people watching this, it was H. Okay, but H doesn't work in the English settings. I don't know why they different that. When I want to exclude this from my import, I'm pressing X right now. In the Dutch settings, that's also H. So H is an on and off switch, and right here I got 2 separate buttons, which I really do not like actually. But it doesn't matter for now. I'm going with the English settings, and we'll probably keep the English settings anyways. And then use the arrow keys to scroll through the pictures. I'm going right one pick, and let's say I want to have this one as well. I'm going to import that as well, so with the P. And let's say from up here, you know that the following 10 photos will be bad photos, which you don't want to look at. So I'm double clicking to see the whole selection again, and I'm scrolling past the bad photos or the photos I don't want to use, whatever. And let's say I want to start using the photos from here, or start seeing the photos from here again. I double click again. Now let's say we want this picture for our import selection. Now you know you can select it with P, but if you press Shift before this, or Shift P, it will select it and go on to the next picture automatically. So Shift P will select it and bring us to the next picture. And let's say we want something like this. Shift P again and P again. Okay, right now we got our little selection. Let's double click to zoom out, and from up here you can see which ones we selected, which one we didn't select. Now let's say you want one more picture, you can also just easily select it like this. Now I know there's a lot of people that will import all their pictures to Lightroom and later on choose which they are going to edit and which they're not going to edit. I personally don't like it that way, because later on I have to take out or delete all the pictures I'm not going to edit. Whatever you prefer. So let's hit import. Alright, now here are all the imported pictures. Now what I would do normally is select these pictures, select the first one, hold Shift, select the last one, and press this button. This button will add it to the quick collection. As you can see, all the pictures got a little dot right now. Now you can also add or delete them from the quick collection by pressing the B button. So they're still all selected right now. If I would press the B button, you can see the dots disappear everywhere. And whenever I'm editing, let's say 25 or less photos, I would always add them to my quick collection. So from here I'm going to the quick collection, and you can see the new ones right here. And because this tutorial is about the because for this tutorial we're doing like model shots,
Jesus Christ.
And because we're working with model shots for this tutorial, my quick collection of course exists out of these model kind of shots. So let's just say I select this picture, I'm going in develop, I'm going to press copy right now. I'm just explaining the quick collection and why I do it like that. Now let's say I want to copy all the changes I made from this picture to a different picture. the crop as well. I'm gonna copy it, and I know that this picture is almost the same as this picture, right? So I'm pressing paste on this picture, and you see what it turns into. Now this is because these pictures are almost exactly the same, okay? So I might change a few things, and more like local things. For example, here you can see a little bit of color in the pants. I took that out. I go to the brush tool, made a brush around him to make him pop out more. Now let me see where the brush is. The brush is off, so I would like redo the brush and everything. But now you can see why I work with this way of quick collection, because if I would edit these kind of pictures, they will all go in a similar kind of style because I'll shot them on the same day. Now normally once we're here, I would go through my selection again and see how the crop works for every picture. Now up here is the crop overlay tool. I'm gonna press that. Ideally for Instagram you want to use a 1x1 or a 4x5. In this case, because he's standing up like that, I'm definitely going with a 4x5. Now 4x5 is that long, almost full screen picture on Instagram. And what I'm paying attention to when cropping a picture are the grid lines, like the rules of thirds, stuff like that. In a standing case, like a full screen standing case, I would like to have the shoulders on these parts and the rest will follow, okay? Like on the upper third will be the face. I'm gonna change the angle a bit, so I'm gonna change it like this. Press down on this one. In this case, manually I would say there's a little bit more space over here than there is over here, so I'm gonna crop that out a bit more. And I think something like this, right? Now in my workflow, I would know by now that I chose this picture. I'm gonna edit this picture, and why? Because I see the crop lines over here. For example, if I would go to this picture and compare it with this one, he's about to walk or whatever reason you got, this picture is not as good as this one is. So I'm gonna crop this one. Okay, let's say something like this. And I do understand when people say, why so close up, you know? Why are you not leaving it like this? This is way more nice. And you can see the building right here, you can see the tree, whatever. True, but knowing how Instagram works with like fitness or model kind of shots, so let's say fitness kind of shots, we have experienced, I'm talking me and Ryan, that the close-up photos normally would get more interaction. Apparently, the people that are into these fitness kind of pages, they would like to see, which is pretty logic actually, they would like to see a body from more up close. It would be different on, for example, a landscape picture or like a travel picture. Let's say we're gonna keep it like this, right? Because he's standing in like that middle section. We're gonna change this to right here. And why is this not horizontal right now? Because watch this part, okay? Keep an eye on this part. You see that? Right now it's straight. Always pick something. For example, the building right here is also straight right now. Always pick something at the eye that you want to line it up with. For myself, I would know that from all these pictures, I would edit these two because they got the crop mark. A different way to mark which kind of pictures you would like to edit and which you don't edit, by giving them stars. Now, giving stars is simply done by using the 1 to 5 buttons on your keyboard. Now, let's say, for example, I'd like to give this one 5 stars because I definitely know I'm going to use it. Now, you'll see appearing 5 stars right here. Now this is one way for people to make their selection. Pass by the pictures and give this one 2 stars and give this one 4 stars. Now later on they don't have to compare them anymore because they knew which one was their favorite. I personally don't work with the stars, I'll use the crop factor, but I want to include the stars as well here. Now one more thing, you can compare 2 pictures. Now reference view, and now here I'm going to drop the reference. Let's say we want to compare them at the same time. This is the active picture that we selected. And this is the reference. We could just choose from up here, okay? Right now this one is cropped, of course. Now if you want to go back from the reference to the full screen again, you can press this button, or D as it says. From here we're gonna edit this one. What I always do first is start with the crop. Okay, so now it's cropped, and from up here I know which parts are gonna be in the picture and which are not. Now I know there's also other people that will edit their pictures first, and afterwards they will check how to crop and which part of the pictures they're going to use. For me personally, I like to know which part of the pictures and which, for example here, I know right now that these blue parts are in the picture. Now if there would be like a red car over here, then I would know that I've cropped out the red car already, so I wouldn't have to mind about the red tones in the picture. That's a bummer. After cropping the picture, my second step would be curving the picture, so the tone curves. Now personally, I really like this vintage kind of look for my photos, which means you will up your lower blacks a bit. Let me explain that. So I'll up my blacks here, and you see what happens when I do that. The whole picture gets brighter, you see, because the whole line is moving, of course. I'll up my blacks to around here, okay? I'm normally not going through halfway this first block. Now I'm gonna down the other parts of the video, of the photo, sorry, into video that much. Light up the rest of the picture, okay, to give it more contrast. So right now you'll be like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? But easy, okay, fucking chillax, okay, will work out fine. Okay, I'm gonna give this a basic curve right now. Higher highlight parts are lit up a bit for extra contrast. And then I'm gonna lower the really white parts of the picture. Also to give it less of a digital look, you know, if you got like extreme blacks and extreme whites, the picture will have less of a feel, if you know what I mean, less of that vintage look. I might come back to this tone curve, but first I'm gonna go to the upper part, and this is where a lot of people start editing. So first off, I'm gonna pull up the shadows a bit, and you can see it's working already. I'm gonna pull up the exposure a bit, and now you see we're getting the look that we want, but also we're overexposing the white parts. Keep in mind with this picture, he is standing in the shadows right now, but the background is not in the shadows, the background is in the sun. Now we did this on purpose to have a cool like extreme contrast in the picture, but editing wise this is not the easiest picture to edit. So next up I will take down the highlights. You can actually see the color in the sky again, you can see the bright parts on the building disappear. Now on a lot of my pictures I like to slide the highlights all the way down or almost all the way down. With doing that there's no more super white parts, meaning we can pull up the exposure again. I don't want to have white parts on the body, and the building can have some white parts, but I don't want to overdo it. So next up I will play with the white balance, which is a lot of personal preference of course. Now maybe we'll get a little bit sunnier in this biz, something like that. Now we could slide the tint a little bit more to the right to get a bit more skin tones in there. Now next up I will work with either contrast or black and whites. I'm not going to change a lot about that in this particular picture. I put down the blacks a bit, but there's already enough contrast. And next up, the clarity. Now in my opinion the clarity is kind of a dangerous slider. I think that a lot of people that are new to Lightroom are gonna overdo it on the clarity a lot. When I see photos on Instagram passing by of people that are getting into photography, not saying I'm a pro or whatever, I'm just editing the way I like to edit. Now I'm gonna slide the clarity and you will see what happens directly. The clarity makes it so much harder. The edges are going to be so much harder. Now I can imagine a lot of pictures where this kind of effect, the clarity effect, would look really cool. Like a graffiti wall or like a close-up, like a darker close-up of somebody's face. Some impactful pictures, for example. Some sliding right here, and I would say about here. About here looks nice. So this is 26. I see myself ending somewhere between 20 and 30 a lot. Some pictures can really handle like up to 60 or 80. But the problem with this for me, it will affect the whole picture. So if I'm looking to the leaves in the back right here and slide it really aggressive, or to the bar right here, you see it will get washed out pretty quick. Now here comes a quick little booth tip, so watch it closely. I'm gonna use this brush tool, and the brush tool is no secret of course, but I'm using it a lot with clarity together. I'm gonna small this down and using the brackets on my keyboard. You can also do that over here if you'd like to. Put the clarity to about 26. Okay, so I'm gonna start at the body parts here. What I'm trying to do here is make the person pop out more from the background. With using clarity, you don't have to be super specific. So if I'm holding my mouse up here, another quick tip, holding your mouse up here will show you your selection. You'll see where my brush went. For example, next to the shoulders and next to the head, that's a bit off here, okay? You can see there's a little bit more brush than there is a person. But it doesn't matter with clarity, because clarity is not, it's not like if I would put, for example, more exposure over there, you can see the edges glowing and everything. That's another thing, not to diss anyone around, but that's another thing I see on the gram. People that are into Lightroom work with the brush tool really quickly and end up having these ugly ass edges on everything, but they don't remove it, right? If I hold my Alt key, I can also remove, hold my Alt and make the size a bit lower. I can also remove the ugly ass edges, right? But this will probably cost too much time for some people. But for the sake of this tutorial, it doesn't matter because I'm not using any brightness, extra brightness. I'm gonna press done here. You can also press the brush tool again. Now next up will be the color tab, leaving it on all so I can do everything at the same time. You can see there's some kind of blue or agua tint around here. So I would like to have that more of an agua tint. See, you can see where it involves, right? Agua is over there. right? You see it here a lot. Now I'm going through this color part pretty quick because this will vary from every type of photo you take, every type of photo I take, and there's a lot of personal preference to this. What kind of feeling do you want to achieve? And are you the person that really likes a colorful picture or really unrealistic tones to its pictures, which can be really beautiful? It's all up to you. A bit more to the left to have a little bit more red tones in the skin tone. Now for this picture I would change the yellows and the greens as well, because the background color is a bit too normal, I would say. Could be more interesting. So here are the greens, which if I tilt them to this side, you see what happens. This is the other way around. Also a nice look, but for this picture I chose to go more like this. And with the yellows it's the same. And next up is the saturation of these colors we just handled. I personally like to go low on my magenta and purple. I can tell already that the shoes have a bit of magenta and purple, so I'm not gonna go too low because then all the color in the shoe will disappear. If I would specifically want the shoe to have more color, then I could go on the brush and bring that color up a bit more. Normally I would go even lower, but because of the shoes I will leave it right here. I'm going a bit low on the reds, orange a bit lower, but not too low because of the skin tone. As you can see, this will affect the skin tone, but mostly the leaves in the back. Well, you can see what the green does. I'm going something like that, and then the aqua is pretty important for this picture, so maybe up it just a little bit. And the blue I'm taking out a bit. This will also make it disappear a bit on the bar and a bit on the pants. Watch this. See, you see where it comes back, right? Okay, now in between, let me do a quick before and after before we continue. Before and after is done with the slash. And you can see the clear difference between the before and after. Now if you want to compare them at the same time, you can go right here. Here you see it before and after. Now from here you can also enter the lights out mode by pressing the L to really compare them. If you press twice it will be even more darker on the sides. And L to go back. Alright, let's go back to full screen again. Split toning, what I normally do, and this is a pretty popular way I have to admit, but this is just for me mostly the best way. For my highlights I'm looking for a yellowish, orange-ish kind of color, around 30 to 40. Okay, let's stick to 31 in this case. And we're at 17% right now. Yeah, this seems good for now. It makes it more sunny. For the shadows, I'm gonna look for a bluish kind of tint, which is always a popular way to go. That is because they are opposite colors. So a bit of blue in the shadows and a bit of yellow, orange kind of tones in the highlights will make it more of a cinematic feel. 230 something, 230. Yeah, this is fine. With all the tools you're using, you can always switch them on and off. It's another quick tip. It really comes in handy sometimes. You switch them on and off to see what this effect by itself does. Going to the detail part, I'm gonna use sharpening. I'm gonna leave it at 25 right here. And what I normally only do, because these settings are pretty fine by itself, but right now it's affecting the whole picture, and I only wanted to affect the sharp point, so in this case the person. So I'm gonna hold Alt and slide the masking part. So here you see, right now it sharpens everything, right? Because it's all white. I'm gonna slide down even more. It will only take out the important edges. So the leaves, for example, high up there, and the body. There's also a lot of leaves in the back. We're gonna leave that for now. We're gonna leave that for now. And we're gonna slide until I normally end up around 86, I would say. Yeah, this seems fine for now. Now let me show you the before and after again. So that wraps up everything about the Lightroom editing. I hope this tutorial was useful. These are my basics, my basic principles, my workflow. So let me know if you guys liked this video, if it was helpful, if you learned something, even if you knew Lightroom already. I hope it did. Also, I'm not sure where this YouTube channel is going. I would like to put out content that would actually provide people with knowledge. If there's something I missed on Lightroom, let me know. If you got some handy shortcuts or whatever, help the others out, help me out as well. Put it down below. Now it's getting really fucking hot in here. I'm on the top floor and the sun is full on the rooftop here. I'm gonna wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I appreciate the waiting some of you guys did. I've actually promised this tutorial a couple weeks earlier. Thanks for the DMs, people that kept being interested in, yo, when's tutorials coming out? If you'd like to see more, check me out on Instagram, I'm more active there. Now, I can't do any promises for this channel or for future videos or like an upload schedule, but we'll see what happens. We'll see where the YouTube adventure takes us, and I'll be doing my client work next to this probably forever, so we'll see. I just want to know how people receive this video, you know, if it's helpful and everything. I'm very curious for that. And my fam, I probably see you in that next video. Peace out.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.